Welcome to the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Welcome to ITSP Magazine. Knowledge is power, now more than ever.
Welcome to After 40. I'm so excited to have you here with me today, especially because we have Cher Murphy here. Cher is pretty cool. She is an anthropologist. Who's ever known an anthropologist? And she's a leadership advisor. So she really knows about people from all angles. So if you're just joining us for the first time today, welcome. I hope you'll check out the previous episodes. And if you have been here before, you're in for a real treat today. So welcome, Cher. I can't wait to hear all about how you're going to tell us how we can prepare for and the strategies that we can have for navigating the holidays. Welcome.
Great. Thanks so much for having me, Deb. I always love spending time with you, and people who want to spend time with you, I want to spend time with as well. So thanks for having me. Great. So great. You and I were just having a conversation about the holidays, and that's how this came to be a conversation. And then I was thinking, like, well, how do I even think about this all the time? So I probably should just share, being an anthropologist, we study lots of things. My focus is culture. Well, first of all, anthropology is the study of humans. And I study human behavior and the culture of humans. And so across all cultures, there are definitely different holiday seasons. And so it's kind of woven into my work over the past few decades. Especially being a leadership advisor, spending time with leaders and founders and people who run organizations and nonprofits. We hear a lot about sometimes what's challenging about the holidays, right? So right now, 1 in 4 leaders has an experience of being lonely. And we're hearing more in media and social media about reminding people that, there are more people who are lonely. And so we could look at that piece, but how I like to look at it is like, what's possible out of the holidays? In an answer, or maybe even a solution to like what the current experience is for people, especially after 40. So, I divide this into, I think, like four things. And the first one is really about being present, right? Be present to what's happening for you in response to the holidays. So, if you're not feeling like being around a ton of people, be present for that and take some time for you. Anywhere you live, if it's, fall or winter or sunny places, for me to be outside and be in nature and put my feet on a trail or, just be present to what is happening, and let that give us some ability not to kind of play into this, holiday narrative that we have, especially in the States and in Western Europe, about what the holidays are supposed to look like.
So can I ask you a question then? If you're being present and you're at a big family gathering, what could you do? Are you thinking like take a walk, or how do you get yourself to be present if you're in a situation that you'd rather not be in?
Right. Okay. So the first thing that automatically, I'm also a yoga teacher. So the first thing that really gets human bodies present is to be aware of our breathing and to be aware of our feet on the ground. So one of the things I like to talk about in breathing and being present is at whatever pace that you're breathing in, if you can breathe in to a count of 4, but breathe out to a count of 6 or even 8, we will automatically feel our body and slow the pace of all of those hormones going through the body, the pace of the cardiovascular system. Even though I like to sit with my feet off of the floor, to put my feet on the floor to be present, and to feel my connected to, I know that sounds a little out there, but to feel connected to the earth and where I am. And, if it's a big holiday event and there's a lot of energy and interaction and stress, sometimes to ask somebody to come with me on a walk, like, let's just go take the dog for, I will tell you that my dog gets under feet. And sometimes it's best to say, I have to take a dog for a walk, bring one of my, sisters or relatives or nieces with me, and really be present.
That's good advice and easy to do. Thank you.
Yeah, all of these are very easy. I think the biggest one, though, I think that's so helpful for me is around being creative, because be creative gives me an answer to all of the narrative about, the Norman Rockwell or the perfect family, right? We don't have to keep all of the traditions. I know a lot of women feel like we have to have the perfect dinner and the perfect decorations and the perfect thank you list. And so this be creative to create what works for you in this stage of your life, or anybody's lives. Like I think sometimes forget because of all of the marketing and narrative and habits that we can cook different foods. We can do the dinner on Friday. We can create different activities. We can add things in, like having the family go on a family hike or participate in a turkey trot, 5K event. There are a lot of things that we can be creative about, that answer that whole kind of compare, despair, my family doesn't look like this, my situation doesn't look like this.
Oh, that's such good advice. And I love that, because even in the decades as we change, some of those traditions don't match with where we are. And you mentioned Norman Rockwell, and you think, oh, I have to have it the way that I had it when I was a kid, or it has to look a certain way. And as we reach different decades, the kids leave, the kids grow up, or when you have little kids, being creative is a great term for that, for changing how that narrative is for us.
And I think also, giving ourselves to be able to be creative, we can give ourselves a sabbatical. Like in our family this year, we gave ourselves a sabbatical from a big tradition, and we're recreating it in a new geographic place in a different way. And who knows, we can be creative and go back to our tradition next year.
Love it. Love it.
So I think the next one I'd like to share is be a force for good. Right? I think sometimes when the narrative about family, tradition, holidays, is all self-centered on the self. And I think one of the best ways that I've learned over the last, I don't want to say 30 something years, is when I get very self-involved, one of the best solutions is to look into the community, and find other people that I can be helpful, be a force for good. That can be in the community. It can be in my friends circle. Sometimes for me, it's, I've had a friend who's had a family member pass away, and I take them a small special package or gift to tell them I'm thinking of them. Sometimes there was a period of time in my family where we lived in Houston, and we ran a part of the Feeding the Homeless for 40,000 people in the city of Houston every year. And that's what we did for Thanksgiving. Any way that we can be a force for good and be a force for connection will always yield 10 times whatever I put into that piece of it.
Oh, what good advice. Getting involved outside yourself, what an anxiety reducer, and what a way to combat loneliness, for sure. If you're out with other people doing things, getting involved in the community, and what meaning. The holidays are all supposed to have meaning, but that's one really great way to add meaning.
I will say that the meaning that happens, for my family, for me, out of being able to make a difference, is always is kind of such a driver for happiness for me, for understanding. And that really goes into, I think, the last piece, which is be reflective. I think in my world, working with so many different leaders and organizations, we forget to be reflective. The holidays sometimes can be a time when we miss the people who aren't with us any longer. And so not to, fall into a very big piece of reflection, but to remember the happy moments or the people who are gone and what they gave us. I lost a dear friend years ago, and Thanksgiving was a very big holiday for her and I. And I don't go into hours, but I always remember Dorothea on Thanksgiving, knowing that I spent time with her. I have a few little of my own rituals to remember her, very tiny things. And but it's a really good place to reflect on being grateful, if that's a place that you can practice gratitude, of remembering the people that we love who are no longer with us, and also to look at how much we've grown and changed for a year, right? The holidays, are a great time to think about, what's been good, what we want to change, and intentions for the next year. But being reflective is probably one of the most undervalued things that we can do as humans.
Boy, do I agree with you on that. Being reflective really does allow you to feel grateful for the things you take for granted all the time. And, you bring up some great points. We can go through holidays and take them for granted as just another day with a lot of rituals involved that we aren't placing meaning on. But you gave some advice to get yourself grounded, put your feet on the ground, literally. I actually did the breathing exercise silently while you were doing it. And I felt automatically, it makes you relax. And to be creative, boy, what a great idea. If you move, or you're in a new situation, you're on a transition, get creative, because then you get to define your holiday. You're not chasing after an image, and having the meaning attached to things, like putting yourself outside yourself into the community and other places, and being reflective, like you said. I think anybody can do that. I think anyone, even if you employ just one of these strategies, this is going to be a winter holiday for you.
Yeah, it's so funny. I'm not the traditional person who loves holidays. I don't have a set of candles that go out. But I've always loved the holidays because it's such a time to create and reflect and design, and look forward, because, there are things we know that I always joke with you about this too. We knew two things: we'll be born and we'll leave here. And it's our chance to define who we want to be, and our actions, these 4-5 actions, can help us on who we want to be while we're here.
I love that. Cher Murphy, what a treat to speak with an anthropologist. I've never spoken with an anthropologist about something culturally happening. This is so cool. And a leadership advisor. You really do have the pulse of everything happening with people all over the place. And it's a real treat to be able to get to talk to you about the holidays. So thank you very much for giving us some strategies to navigate the holidays.
Thanks for having me, Deb. Be well and take care, everybody.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you learned something new and this story made you think, then share ITSPmagazine with your friends, family, and colleagues. If you represent a company and wish to associate your brand with our conversations, sponsor one or more of our columns. We hope you will come back for more stories and follow us on our journey. You can always find us at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society.